got to be here with you, and no better place I would rather be than here with you. You know who else loves being here? Ja Morant. Let's get into our big idea for the afternoon. Some news making noise in and around the Memphis area that got fans really in an uproar on Twitter. With the Grizzlies move Ja Morant, we love an anonymous quote. This is an NBA executive to reporter Howard Beck. In this league, and I quote, "In this league, you are always on the lookout for who's the next wave of stars that are going to get dealt," right? Somebody out of the blue said, "Keep an eye on Ja Morant this summer." I'm just saying it's one of those things I'm just kind of keeping an eye on if they were to flame out early. And then shout out to our guy, Drew Hill, beat writer for the Grizzlies of the Daily Memphian. He goes right to the source. Grizzlies GM Zach Kleiman for some clarification. I can't blame other executives. I love how executives is in quotes here. I can't blame, quote, executives for fantasizing about us trading Ja, but it's just that fantasy. We are not trading Ja. Continue to underestimate Ja. Continue to underestimate this team and this city, and we will let our performance on the floor speak for itself. I'm not going to give this nonsense further oxygen and look forward to getting back to basketball. Now, Greg, I think when we as media members see stuff like this on social media, we thought it was like nothing to write home about. You know what I mean? But as tends to happen on the internet, the flames get fanned a little bit and everybody is going crazy. What are your thoughts on what Kleiman had to say about this Ja Morant nonsense?
Well, before I get to his comments, just a little bit of context. You're absolutely right. In this day and age of social media, one little blurb, it doesn't matter even if it comes from a reputable source, people run with it. Howard should know better. I think he should have contacted Kleiman, or at least tried to maybe get a little clarification from his point of view, because if Zach told him the same thing, there's not even a reason to tweet it out, but you're going to do it, right? Because you want traction, you want followers, you want to be relevant again. But I think Howard did a bad service to journalists by not at least trying to go to Zach. Now, maybe he did, and I haven't heard. But as far as social media today, of course, it's a little firestorm is going to turn into this big giant blaze. And on Sports Talk Radio, which I'm on for 3 hours every day, of course, it's going to become a topic. I do like what Drew did, go to the source, go to the horse's mouth. I was shocked, first of all. Zach Kleiman is not the most transparent person. I do give him a lot of credit for the way he reacted to the Marcus Smart trade when he had the media availability. I love that. He took blame for it, basically said we tried, it didn't work out. Well, here, he cut it right there before it got any bigger. And I think this was also a sign to Ja, and not only Ja and his teammates, but everybody in the organization. Because it could have been easy that he just picked up a phone or went face-to-face and talked to Ja and said, "Listen, Ja, this has nothing to do with us. This is just a rumor out there," and let it go at that. But he went to social media so everybody can hear that is ludicrous. When I first saw it, Avery, I said it was ludicrous as well. It is not often you get a star of that magnitude in a small market like Memphis. It fell into their lap. They are treasuring the fact that they have a guy like this who is must-watch television. There is no way you are giving up on a guy this young and this early in his career. So that's crazy talk. But going out there and making the statement he did, and putting out the flames was one thing. The other thing was what he said about the city and about the organization. And basically, if you're sleeping on us, man, you can forget about it. We are ready to go, right? Yeah. We are ready to rock and roll. Now, it also puts a little pressure on the team that if they flame out, they gotta go pun intended, yes, that puts a little bit of pressure. So I think it was kind of a double whammy statement. But I am really happy to hear that from a guy like Zach Kleiman, who usually keeps it close to the vest.
So we know how these things tend to go, right? A rumor or a reporter will go around talking to several executives. Hey, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on what the summer could look like? Yada, yada, yada. You're not necessarily expecting anything explosive out of it, right? And then you get the offhand comment, well, I mean, if we're talking superstars on the move, I could see Ja going somewhere else. And it probably sounded something like that. We saw the quote there. But it probably felt really offhand, but immediately you're like, oh, I got something, right? And I think it's important to note that Howard Beck is a respected reporter, right? Respected journalist. But he didn't put this in an article, Right? This is not in the length of, hey, these are several things that we think, executives think could happen. It was just an offhand tweet. And so immediately it's like, everybody's like, whoa, like trading Ja Morant. And I think the thing about a lot of this is it's almost like knee-jerk and very reactionary because of what just happened with the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Because Nico Harrison traded a guy in Luka Doncic that previously was thought to be untradeable. Now, anytime a superstar, there's even a whisper of, well, they could move Ja Morant out of Memphis, especially because we've already had this conversation before, right? Small market team gets a big superstar, and all of a sudden we got to get him to one of the two coasts, right? But when Nico Harrison traded Luka Doncic, it changed the landscape of things. And so now everybody's going to be a little bit more sensitive to these. Hey, can we move a superstar out of a particular city, especially the smaller ones, and land them somewhere on a much bigger scale, especially somebody on Ja's stature, where we're talking about him being a potential face of the NBA. I do like what you had to say there, though, in that Zach Kleiman normally, and during the course of a season, we'll see Zach probably 3 times, right? We'll see him on draft night. We'll see him post-trade deadline, and we'll see him in exit interviews. And so for him to go out of his way, not necessarily go out of his way, but shout out to Drew Hill, because I've talked to the beat reporters about this. Like, they have Zach Kleiman and some of these other executives in their phones, but you can only press the button one time, maybe over the course of a season. You can only burn that lifeline once or twice during a season. And it looks like Drew decided to burn it then with this. And Clinton, shout out to him, because we got a very clear answer about where the Grizzlies executives and the team and the organization feel about Ja. We know that it seems like Ja's been a little sensitive here in recent, year or so, especially when dealing with social media and some of the media people. So for them to come out very clearly and say, hey, we're not getting rid of him, this is fantasy, makes a really, really clear statement that I think had to be made.
Well, all good points. And I think Drew made the right move, because when you have a trade that just surprised everybody, even people outside of basketball, outside of media that cover basketball, even outside the sports world that just they kind of follow sports a little bit, to have the Doncic-Davis trade take place, number one, and number two, to do it so secretly. Nobody knew. I would imagine then, when a conversation is had between Howard Beck or whoever covers the NBA with an executive from any team, something strange may come up, or seemingly strange at that point. But I guess the thought process is anything's possible. We just saw Luka get traded for Anthony Davis. But certainly in the climate of the Grizzlies, right now you're looking at a team that, now last year was a disaster, the injuries, we understand. 2 prior years, second place finishes in the West, they did nothing. They had injuries in the playoffs. They had the Ja suspension. As we go back a few years, now they're in the same position. So I can see where an executive would look at the situation and go, all right, let me give you something a little bit crazy here.
Yeah.
If Memphis flames out, that would be 3 and 4 years, not counting last year where they didn't go to the postseason. Mm-hmm. I could see them kind of breaking up the core, and Jackson, meaning Tripp, is turning into this incredible all-around player. He was an all-star this year. Maybe Ja becomes expendable because of what they can haul in return. But I don't think that executive, whoever it was, realizes just what Ja means to this community, to this organization. Like I said previously, Avery, you don't have a Ja Morant fall in your lap too often. You don't have free agents that want to come and play in Memphis, unfortunately. You have to get lucky in the draft. You have to do your due diligence. They have done that. And again, we go back to that draft. If Memphis had the first pick, they were taking Zion. And you would be in a bad situation right now as he tries to come back from all these injuries. And while Ja has missed time, we know that when Ja's on the floor, incredibly productive a couple of years ago in the playoffs. He had some huge games. They need him. He's the face of this organization, could be the face of the NBA. Why would you give up on it? That's why he quickly came out and made that statement. Again, if Drew didn't ask, would he have done that? I don't know, and I probably don't think so. But he would have definitely addressed it with Ja personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's even more ludicrous, even with the thought of the trade, is there's no superstar that you get necessarily that's really going to match the level of value. I mean, you're talking about maybe getting a couple of players, and then Tripp becomes your unquestioned leader. I mean, Ja has joked around with media a lot lately, calling Tripp the franchise, right? Like he does have that presidential quality about him. Jaren Jackson Jr. does, but there's nothing you could get back that would match the culture of the city and be, I think, as productive. Some people were throwing out, people are talking about Trae Young wants to get out of Atlanta and potentially, go somewhere where he can win. And I'm like, if Trae Young landed in Memphis, Tennessee, bro, he would know what to do with himself. He would not match the culture of the city at all. And I think you can say that about a lot of players. And so for this trade or rumor to even get to where it's at, it's like there's nothing that's even realistic that the Grizzlies could get. They will burn the city down if you trade Ja Morant. And to your point about the playoffs, he is still really, really good. He's really good in the regular season. His points are down, sure, but he still controls the game in such a way that the Grizzlies are better with him on the floor. And in the postseason, he's averaging 27, 8, and 6. Right, so you're not giving up 27, 8, and 6 for nothing. And granted, the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade is not for nothing, but the fan love that the Grizzlies fans have for Ja Morant is much the same as the Mavs have for Luka Doncic, and there's no way that I see Zach Kleiman making that same mistake. Let's move on real quick. Cool news over the All-Star break in the NBA. Grizzlies star Desmond Bane had his jersey retired by his alma mater, Texas Christian University, better known as TCU. Bane was a two-time All-Big 12 selection, played more games than anybody in TCU history. He's the Horned Frogs' also all-time leader in three-pointers and wins. One of two first-round selections. We got to hear from Dez on the big honor.
Coming from a small city, Richmond, Indiana, coming all the way down here, never imagined something like this. So it's a dream come true. A lot of people had their hand in this success, so I don't feel right just feeling like I did this by myself. I know I didn't, and extremely blessed and thankful. The TCU feels this way about me, and I feel this way about them.
Greg, neither one of us were good enough to play college basketball. I think height might have played a little bit of a factor in our getting to the next level.
Just height, though. Only height.
Just height, not heart. Just height. Just height. But to see TCU retire Desmond Bane's jersey, I just kind of wonder what you thought about seeing that honor, because there's not a lot of guys who are still playing ball that get their jerseys retired by the school.
What a humble guy. I love Des Bane. He's my favorite player on the Grizzlies. So humble as he's being honored. He's trying to bestow the accolades on other people, his teammates, his coaches. He was fantastic at TCU, and I give the Grizzlies organization a lot of credit for going out and getting Des Bane. He is the glue to this team. I love physical, strong guards, which he is, that can shoot. He's the perfect NBA player. He's only the sixth player in TCU history to have their jersey retired. It was a great ceremony. And then they went out there and they upset nationally ranked Texas Tech. So maybe he brought him some luck as well. So I'm very, very happy for Des Bane. He's a great guy, and I love to see the accolades being bestowed on him.
Yeah, Des, absolutely phenomenal at TCU. We talked a lot about, or we've seen his journey, and he talks about coming from a small town. TCU was one of the only D1s to even offer him. Right. So you kind of realize that how many guys like Des there are out there who get overlooked, and it really only takes one school, right, to believe in you, for you to go there and do his thing. I think a big thing that he talked about as well was like getting his degree at TCU and being able to use that now as he's like started a foundation, right? He's doing things outside of playing basketball that his TCU degree really plays a part in. Really cool for him to be the all-time leader in threes there. Just makes perfect sense, right? Because he's our resident sniper alongside Luke Kennard as he hits a three there in the little video we got rolling. To your point, Des is a consummate leader. This core three that the Grizzlies have brought into the organization and drafted. It's very much homegrown. Des is 100% a part of that. and he's a fantastic leader for this organization. It's cool to see him get his jersey retired. Cool to see his little man sitting there in his lap with him during the press conference. I thought this was an amazing honor, and to see what he's really taken it in the NBA, because he's a first-round pick, and he's one of the only two in TCU history, but he's also the 30th pick in the draft by the Grizzlies. And so typically when you get in that back half of the lottery or after the lottery, you don't really necessarily expect guys to make the kind of impact that Dez has had. He's a borderline all-star. I think what he's done, what he's translated from TCU to the Grizzlies has been sensational. What do you think?
Yeah, and the other thing, Avery, too, is that in this day and age in college basketball, with the transfer portal, guys are not sticking around a school for more than a year. They're going to other places because they're cashing in with NIL. So to have that allegiance, and obviously it was right before the NIL and the era of transfer portal, but still to stay at one school and to commit to that school, which, again, basketball, it's not historically great as far as the college basketball program, but he made it his and they embraced him. And you're absolutely right about where he was drafted. You don't expect to find gold that late in the first round and in the second round. But the Grizzlies continue to have a lot of success with picks from 25 on, including in the second round. They've missed on some earlier picks. Obviously, they didn't miss with Ja at number 2, but they've had more success with guys in the 20s, picked in the first round in the 20s, or in the second round. And Des Bane to be number 30, where he is right now in the NBA, and only going to get better. Yeah, absolutely. He's a great representative for the Grizzlies in the National Basketball Association.
All right, so we got to see what he's able to do here in the second half of the year. Let's get into that a little bit. Now that the All-Star break is over, second half of the season begins. Grizzlies, 36-18, second in the West, 8 games behind Oklahoma City in the Western Conference. The playoff push is kind of on now, Greg. The Grizzlies have a 3-game road trip taking on Indiana, Orlando, and Cleveland. Here's what they had to say about the second half of the season coming up.
Guys were rejuvenated, had great energy. We're obviously going into a tough road stretch coming up here right out of the break, but very excited about what this group can accomplish, rest of the regular season and beyond. We as coaches spend a lot of time, coming out of the break thinking about what is our identity, how do we lean into that, what are the things that we got to be preparing for big picture-wise.
Just give even more effort, more intensity. Everything we did, just double it or triple it. That's all it is. It's about health, it's about vibes, it's about understanding what the goal is and visualizing it.
All right, Greg, so 3-game road trip. All teams we think probably will be in the playoff conversation in the East. What do we think about where the Grizzlies got to go in terms of what we've seen here in the first half of the season?
It'd be good to start off on the right foot, and they have these Eastern Conference teams, and they have fared well against the Eastern Conference teams. They beat the first 2 they're playing, which is tonight playing the Indiana Pacers. They beat them at home. Orlando, they open the season with Orlando. They'll play them tomorrow. They'll play Cleveland on Sunday. Now, they haven't met Cleveland yet. Cleveland is certainly one of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the NBA. I think we'll get a real understanding of where the Grizzlies are, because they have struggled against the top teams, especially in the West. But they did knock off Boston in Boston, so there's something about the Eastern Conference that they have fared very well against. The thing I'm looking for is what that soundbite indicated. The consistency, the intensity being stepped up. Everybody realizes, not just the Grizzlies, but all around the league, this is the final push. You get inside your final 30 games. Now this is the push to finish strong, to be at the top of your game for when the playoffs start. But also for the Grizzlies is to be in the best position they can seed-wise and try to get the home court advantage. Right now they're in second, but Denver's breathing down their throats. Let's say Denver passes them. Right now, the Clippers are in 6th. I don't like that matchup of 3-6, which would be Memphis versus the Clippers. Now, a lot still is to be determined because there's so many teams bunched up. But I think we have to see the intensity, and when I say intensity, I mean also the physicality against the teams that are more physical. Because as you know, Avery, in the playoffs, everybody takes it up a notch. Players are playing more physical. They're maybe getting away with a little bit more. The rotation shrink. So right now, as you're trying to put yourselves into that position, put your best foot forward. With the Grizzlies, you're also trying to figure out some of the rotations because Vince Williams is just getting acclimated back to being in there. How much of a factor will he be moving along as we get closer to the playoffs? Will Jalen Wells and Zach Edey be as big a part of the team in the playoffs as they have been during the regular season now that Williams is back and G.G. Jackson is healthy? So there's still questions that have to be answered, but this is really, you have to go full force 100% because now you can see the finish line as far as the regular season, and you want to put yourself in the best position possible.
Yeah, it is kind of strange because we think of post-All-Star break as the second half of the year,
Right.
but they've already played more than half of their regular season games. So I think for them, now that they've gotten healthy, you mentioned the guys getting back into the rotation, G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams. Obviously, you allow Marcus Smart to go ahead to the Washington Wizards. Jake LaRavia is no longer in there. It kind of naturally shortens itself up a little bit, right? But at the same time, you're trying to figure out, like, okay, what do we really have with some of these rookies? I think Jalen Wells has earned his starting spot, maybe more so than Zach Edey. Zach Edey kind of was born into it, right? Being 7'4" and being drafted where he was in the first round. Jalen's kind of earned his spot, and it'll be interesting to see how long he keeps it or what his rotation minutes look like because I do think Vince Williams is coming. I do think G.G. Jackson, we've already seen, has become a favorite toy of Taylor Jenkins getting back into the rotation. So you had to see where these guys fit, and you got to see where they fit quickly because I think you're trying to develop some chemistry that maybe some other teams that are going to be in the playoffs are not necessarily trying to develop because the Grizzlies have had so many injury problems. To your point about the West, yes, they are second in the West right now. They had a nice little lead over the Rockets for a while. We thought that was great. But now you're a half game above the Denver Nuggets in terms of second in the West. And I agree with you completely. I don't like a 3-6 matchup with the Clippers, the way they handled them. I think we've seen what Zach Edey is. I think what he can become is something like, Zubac with the Clippers. But right now, I think Zubac kind of has his number a little bit. I don't love that matchup. I wouldn't mind seeing the Timberwolves, wouldn't mind seeing the Lakers in a first-round series, but the Lakers obviously knocked them out a couple of years ago. So and I don't know that I want to see LeBron and Luka in the first round. That seems like a headache to really try and figure out. But these upcoming road trip, I think you make a really great point over there in the East. The teams that you're facing, the Pacers are fourth, the Magic are seventh, and they're resurgent because they've got their two stars back in Wagner and Banchero. Right. And then you're kind of trying to figure some stuff out there. So I think this is going to be a good barometer, this road trip, for figuring out where the Grizzlies can go. But they still have to get better against those teams that are going to be playoff teams in the West.
Look, they beat up on a lot of bad teams. They're not going to play those bad teams in the playoffs. The Trailblazers aren't going to be in the playoffs. The Jazz aren't going to be in the playoffs. Now, they have good wins as well, don't get me wrong. But we will find out a little bit more because this schedule's tough. The last 28 games is extremely tough. And, again, against the top 5 teams, not counting themselves, in the Western Conference, the teams right now that would be in the playoff, not the play-in, they have not fared well against that. So that's going to be the important thing, is to take it up a notch. Physical play, consistency, get the rotation down, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
All right, it starts tonight in Indiana, and then they'll head to Orlando on Friday. They'll take on the Cavs on Sunday in Cleveland.